And hello everyone and welcome to Adobe Creative Cloud. What's up everybody? Just getting started here and hoping everything's going to start okay, and it looks like it is for a change. Good. Welcome everyone. And hello and welcome and thank you for joining the stream today. Hello, Evo Cerise and Victoria and Nicholas. I see you earlier in the chat. And welcome, Bernard. Bernard Bono's in the house. Michael Boucher is in the house as well. Those guys are top photographers. You should follow them if you're not already. And Melissa, how are you? Andreas and is it Petco? Hello, and sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Welcome everyone. Happy, Monday? Yes, it's still Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Adobe Creative Cloud. Today we're going to be talking about how to submit your images and videos to Adobe Stock. I've done this topic before. This is not new. However, there are some new things that have happened since the last time I showed this in a video or on a live stream. So I won't be going over the whole thing because that takes a long time and it hasn't been updated, but I will go over how to get your stuff up there. We can answer some questions, of course, and I will guide you to where you can learn more just in case we don't get all your questions answered on this stream. And I see everyone piling in on both Creative Cloud channels, and thank you guys for being here as well as my own channel over there. I'll try and keep track of both sets of questions and comments. All right, so with that said, let me answer some of those usual questions and get those out of the way right off the bat. So first question I usually get is, hey, do I have to be a Creative Cloud member to submit my content to Adobe Stock? And the answer is no. You don't have to be a Creative Cloud member. Anyone can sign up with a free Adobe ID and start submitting today, provided it's available in your country. I keep forgetting these are worldwide, so it may not be available in your country. If it's not, then you can't do it. But if it is, you can sign up immediately at no cost. How do you sign up? You go to contributor.stock.adobe.com, which we'll see that URL a little bit later. And there's a procedure you walk through where you just say, hey, I want to be a contributor. You sign in with your Adobe ID or create one on the spot, and then you go from there. What kinds of content can you upload? You can upload videos, photos, graphic designs, and vectors. So you can upload just about anything. Of course, there are some restrictions, which some of those would be obvious, but you can start selling your content pretty much immediately. How much does it sell for? How much do I get to set the prices? When do I get paid? All of those things. So those things are going to refer you a little bit later to the FAQ, but a couple of those right off the bat. Adobe sets the price, not you. You get anywhere from a 33 to a 35% commission on the sale price, depending on if it's a still image or a video. And the way you cash out or the way you get paid is when you have accrued at least $50 worth of commissions, you can cash out via PayPal and one or two other sources for transferring the money. And you can do that as often as you want at each $50 or more increment. So you can either let it sit there and accrue more and cash out later, or you can cash out every time it hits 50 bucks. That's up to you. So now that we got some of those things out of the way, hang on, I see a question here. I need to take photos for sacred purpose from the get-go to be in the right mindset, not personal. Jan, you need to take photos that you think marketers would want to use for stock. So Jan's asking, to be able to contribute to stock, would I need to take photos for a specific purpose from the get-go to be in the right mindset? No, you can take pictures that are just simple portraits, and they don't have to be any specific purpose in that point. But you can, of course, submit photos you've already taken, or you can, of course, go ahead and shoot specific content for stock. So I see a couple people saying, oh, no, it's just not fair. I don't like that price. Well, no one's making you do it. If you don't agree with the commission structure or the way it's being done, have a nice day. There's no one compelling you or making you do this. So complaining in the chat won't change it. So thanks and have a great day. All right, so for everyone else that is interested, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so I'm going to show you kind of my workflow for contributing. And for people that are interested in doing this with stills, I'm going to do it with Lightroom. Now, keep in mind, you can contribute directly from the website. So you don't have to use Lightroom for your stills. You can go right to the website and upload JPEGs right from there. If you're going to upload videos, you can upload your videos using FTP. Andreas is asking for videos, any specific length? Yes, the videos can be anywhere from 5 seconds up to 60 seconds in length. And we're going to get to a video example soon. Do you need permission from everyone in the photo? Yes, you do if they're recognizable faces. So if it's the back of someone's head or the back of a crowd and you can't see the faces, don't need a model release. But if you can see a recognizable face, you will need model releases for every recognizable face in the photo or video, for that matter. All right, so let's get back to Lightroom. And again, we'll answer as many of those questions as we can along the way. So I've got this particular shoot that's in front of me is a shoot that we actually did with some students for Adobe Stock. We hired professional models, went down to Full Sail University in Orlando, let the students photograph for their submissions as well, signing them up on the spot. And so they could create this kind of secondary or passive income, as we like to say, make money in your sleep. So of course, I was there helping them out and took a few shots for myself as well. And of course, I have all the model releases for the models that I photographed. Now, when you're going to submit a photo, what do you do to it first? Like, is there anything required? There's nothing required that you do to the photo first, but you can help things along if you get the photo looking a little bit better than maybe it looked coming out of the camera. So Andre is asking, can you submit video? Yes, you can. Can you submit 360 content? Not at this time. All right, so with that said, let's go on. Do I have to pay taxes on my own? Yes, that's between you and the IRS. You will receive a tax statement on earnings that you've made from Adobe, and then it's up to you and your accountant or you and your tax person to fill out the tax information. Again, those kind of, business side of the questions, let's hold those to the end. Let's get through the process first, then we'll save some time to answer those kinds of questions. Do I need a model release for people on the street from a public event or something? If it's a recognizable face, you need a model release. So if you see someone walking by and you just snap a photo and they keep walking, and I could see their face or we could see their face, you would need a model release in order to submit that. If you don't have one and submit it, it's just going to be rejected because you don't have the model release. In other words, you just can't take someone's likeness and start selling it and making money from it without their permission. Now, there are editorial instances where it's a celebrity and providing editorial content. And right now, Adobe Stock does not accept editorial content. That's a whole different ball game that is yet to come to Adobe Stock. So, recognizable faces need model releases, no matter what. Yes, person walking on the street, you would need a model release for that person. All right, so let's get to the process here where I do have a model release, and we will keep going. All right, get the right mouse here. So I have a photo here. I've submitted all the ones in front of this one already. So all the ones from this one on down have yet to be submitted yet. So I've got this one of Jennifer, and I've got this one of James, or I forgot his name actually, but I'll remember by the time it goes to submit it. And I'm going to go ahead and work on Jennifer's photo first. So I'm going to take it into the Develop module. This is right out of the camera. The only thing I've done to it is convert it to DNG, and then we're going to go ahead and make some adjustments to it. So first adjustment I usually like to make to my photos, especially portraits, but all photos in general, is the lens corrections. And actually this one has been done. So without the lens correction, you can see there's a little bit of a bow in the photo because lenses are curved. And you also see some vignetting around the corners that is being taken care of just by simply enabling that checkbox. The next thing we'll do is we'll pop up to the Basic tab. And then the Basic tab, and I have set some of this already. Let me go ahead and just reset all of this. Let's reset it. Let's go back to scratch. I thought this one had not been corrected yet, so let's start from from square one. So we enable the lens corrections, then we go to the basic tab, and now let's go in and I'm going to double click the slider for the whites, double click the slider for the blacks. That will set what Lightroom thinks the dynamic range should be for the photo. And then I'm going to go ahead and increase the vibrance just a little bit because I haven't seen a photo yet that couldn't be a little bit more vibrant. And last but not least, over here, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen using the Sharpen for Faces built-in preset. Now, from here, I can see that, and again, I didn't have any light. This is all natural light for this one. I can see that her face is a little in the shadows, and it would be nice to just kind of, if I had a fill light to lighten up her face a little bit. And for that, I'm going to introduce an artificial fill light. And also, I've got some shadow clippings. Let's just go ahead and adjust for that as well. And I'm going to use the radial filter. And I'm going to set the radial filter for exposure, which it is. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that radial filter out and just go ahead and apply it. And that's a little bit too bright. Just tone that down just a bit. And there we go. Move that around. That's before and that's after. So just adding that little bit of fill light right on her face. And of course, we can tilt that. She's kind of at an angle. And we'll pull that over just a bit. Okay. Actually, we can make it a little bit wider, kind of feather some of that off into her hair as well. Okay, so I've got that done. We can get out of the radial filter. And now the question I would ask myself is, okay, I kind of made some adjustments that I would need to make, or just in general that I would make. Is that enough? Like, am I done? And if I'm done, great, I'm ready to submit it for stock. If I see other things that I want to correct, then the question becomes, can I correct them in Lightroom or should I head over to Photoshop? And if the answer is head over to Photoshop, then yes, I need to head over to Photoshop and do it because there are things that Photoshop can do that Lightroom can't. So for example, one of the distracting elements in this photo is this railing behind her on the steps here, this black railing that's coming down at an angle. It's bugging me. I want to get rid of it. Also, there are a few extra stray hairs that I would want to go ahead and correct. And there's one even going across her face, just hair blowing in the wind across her face. So let's go ahead and take care of some of those things. And for that, I'm going to just hit right-click, Edit in Adobe Photoshop CC 2017. So that will render out an image, head over to Photoshop. The minimum resolution, John, is 4 megapixels. So pretty much any camera you've had in the last 12 years. Okay, and live music rights. Currently, Adobe Stock does not sell music or audio files. So live music is irrelevant unless it was in your video, and then you would need the right for the music to be in your video. All right, so now let's go ahead and take care of the first thing right off the bat, which, like I said, is that railing. Let's switch over to the patch tool. And I'm going to go ahead and set my patch tool to content aware. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and make my correction here. I'm going to have to do this in 2 parts because it's broken by her shoulder, or I'm sorry, her arm, not her shoulder. And just add a little bit more into that, holding down the Shift key. There we go. And then I'll just go ahead and pull that over, let go, and it should go ahead and patch that right out of there. Okay. Next, I see a little bit of remnant of that, but let me go ahead and get rid of this one first. Then we'll fix the remnants. And then we'll patch that little piece over as well. And we got that. All right, so now deselect, switch my content aware back to normal, because normal will do a better job blending in these little pieces of remnant railing that were left over. All right, and one little piece there, got it. All right, so we got rid of the railing. So do I think it's better to fix it or leave it for the buyer? And that is always a judgment call, because sometimes, like I've looked for images to retouch, and if they're all perfect, then I can't find anything. So it's really a judgment call for you. If you think certain things could be left alone and maybe the buyer want to fix it, that's great. But then you're also running the risk of someone looking for an image that's perfect the way it is, or perfect, I should say, as it can be, and they don't want to retouch it. They don't want to have to do anything more to it. So that's always the decision you'll have to make, because you just don't know. Some people may be looking for things that they can correct themselves, like for a tutorial. Other people might be looking for things that they're going to use right in the advertisement that's already pretty much perfect. So like I'm not gonna make her hair perfect across the top, because that would take more time than it's worth for this example. But I'm just going to get rid of some of these stray hairs, especially the ones that are going across the face that would bother me. Like this little whatever this is here. Let's go ahead and take that out as well. Also, there are a couple little dark shadows right here that are just unfair because she doesn't really have those dark shadows. It's just, there was just no light on her face. So we just go ahead and take out some of those. And we'll go ahead and sharpen her eyes a bit with the sharpen tool. And if she were wearing any visible jewelry, like that little earring, I'd sharpen that too. And zoom out, take a quick look. And let's just say that's where we'll leave this one for now. We got it pretty much. Some of the most egregious things that were wrong with it, like the railing coming down into her head, got those things out of the way, or into her arm. And now we'll go ahead and save it. Saving, saving, saving. 95%, saving, saving, saving. And done and close. All right, so let's head back to Lightroom, where that will put it right next to the original. So here's the original raw file, intact with the hair and the railing and everything else. And here's the simple corrections in Photoshop. Again, we didn't do a lot to it, just a couple things to get rid of some of the things that I think were distracting. Okay, so now, and that's kind of that balance where I left enough to where if someone was really wanting to get in and do more to it, they can, but I also made it so that it could be used as is. All right, so now I can take the original raw file out of this collection, it's still in a folder, and now that I've got the edited version. Now the edited version has, keywords from the shoot. It's got, a title, her name's on it, Jennifer. None of that is relevant for stock. If I'm going to use keywords, obviously I need other kinds of keywords. And in this case, I would want to not mess up maybe this one I'm going to use for other things like my portfolio or whatever. So what I usually do when I'm going to submit an image to stock is I create a virtual copy of it first. When I create that virtual copy, that's only going to exist inside of Lightroom. And I can do things to the virtual copy that don't affect the original. So before I do those things, I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop it into the submit for Adobe Stock. So this is, if you're in Lightroom CC, you should have this Adobe Stock publish module now. You'll need to click on it once to set it up, and it will create this empty collection. Yours will say submit to Adobe Stock 0 because you won't have anything in it yet. I've got 1,223 images in there, and it's about to be 1,224. So just drop that one in, and now we head to that collection, and there it is, ready to be published. And what we mean by publish is upload it to Adobe Stock. So you can upload to Adobe Stock directly from Lightroom, directly from Adobe Bridge, and now even directly from Adobe Premiere Pro, which we're going to see that in just a moment. All right, I have a friend who would like to use a service. Can you put a link? So, okay, so here, we'll put a link up for you, Andre, and that link, by the way, I mentioned it earlier, contributor, I can spell contributor.stock.adobe.com. All right, I'll do the same thing over here as well. I can get this window up. Contributor.stock.adobe.com. All right, got it. So that's the link where you will go sign up. That's the link where you will go do your submissions if you want to do them from the web. All right, so now that I've got this here, this virtual copy, let's go in and do some things to it. First and foremost, we'll select this one. And it's not going to be Jennifer anymore because, again, her name is irrelevant on stock. Let's take the name out for the title. And you do need a title for your images, whether you do the title here in Lightroom or Bridge, or whether you do it once you get it onto the site. You'll have to put a title in. The title is not the person's name because no one's searching or looking at the person's name. They don't care. They're looking for, or you're looking for a title that's more descriptive of it. For example, Hispanic woman, for example, or beautiful Hispanic woman. You could say something like that. So let's do that. Beautiful Hispanic woman. All right, something generic, that would be your title. Now, in the past, this is one of those changes I would have done. I would have told you to go ahead and put your keywords right in Lightroom. We're not going to do that now. Matter of fact, we're going to take these keywords and take them out because those keywords really don't have much to do with Adobe Stock. And I would replace those normally with the ones that I think should be in here. But now I don't do that in Lightroom anymore because of the change that's happened on Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock can now auto-detect your image, compare it to other images that it thinks are like it on Adobe Stock, and propose keywords and categories for you. So you don't have to necessarily do the manual keywording anymore. Now, here's the catch-22. If you know a set of keywords you absolutely want to use, you have a choice. Put them in here, then you're going to say, nope, Adobe, I don't want you keywording it. I want to use my own, like we always do. And I would put them in there, and it would only use mine. Or what I like to do now is the Adobe Auto Keywords is not perfect, probably never will be perfect. So I like to see which ones it's going to come up with, many of which I'll probably agree with, some of which I won't agree with, and take out the ones I don't like, and then add in any missing ones that I do like. So that way I get a lot of that groundwork, or even some that I wouldn't have thought about in there by, automatically. And then I can always add in more after the fact. So I leave it blank here now with the new feature and let it do it. So when I hit publish, now keep in mind, this is coming off a raw file that used to be a raw file, and it's now a PSD, a Photoshop document. Of course, we don't upload Photoshop documents. So when I hit publish, what this is doing in the background is it's making a JPEG out of this at the full resolution and uploading that image directly to Adobe Stock to my account. Because when I set this up by clicking on it one time and doing the setup, that's where it set it up with my Adobe ID. And so it knows every time I use this, it's going to use my Adobe ID. So now it's saying, go to Adobe Stock to complete your submission and start selling. So when I click yes, I can it'll jump over to the website, take me right to the thing that I submitted. And now from here, I can go in and see everything that's done over here on the right-hand side and decide whether or not I agree with it. So for example, the first thing it did was it put it in the category of people. That's new. You used to have to decide the category. So it thinks this is a people image. If you thought it should be different, or you prefer a different category, this is when you would change it. But I like people, that's okay. The title is the one that it got from Lightroom that I put in, that's fine. And now it gave me 18 keywords. So you have a minimum of 5. 5 is really not enough. You have a maximum of 50, which is probably too many. So I would say somewhere around the 20, 25 keyword mark is on average is probably where you want to be. Now, these are the keywords it put in automatically. I did not type these in. It got its own. And it did a pretty good job except for this one, child. This is not a child, it's a full-grown woman. And then this is what I mean by it's not perfect. It's a computer. It's using algorithms. It's using Adobe Sensei to try and figure out or guess what the keyword should be. So I'd remove that one. Child, it has nothing to do with children. So let me look at it real quick one more time. Now the first 5 keywords are the most important ones. So I don't agree with the first 5, but I just want to see what other ones are here. Dress, fashion, people, white, black, red, cute, model, smile, close up. Is she smiling? I don't know if I'd call that a smile. It's not a frown, but okay, we'll leave smile in there. All right, so now I can go in and say, okay, there's some that it didn't get that I would use. For example, we used Hispanic in the title, so I would probably go ahead and put that in here. Hispanic, Latina, diversity, diverse. Let's see, we got woman, right? We got woman. I'd probably go ahead and put in female, just in case. Some people don't just search for women or woman. Female, woman. I think girl is already in there because that's you gotta think about what are people going to search for. Casual, lifestyle, leaning. She's leaning against the wall. All right, so now let's put some of these at the top that I think should be at the top. So Hispanic should probably be at the top or in the top 5. Hispanic, woman, portrait, beauty, young. Okay, those would be my top 5. I'm okay with that. Brunette, yeah, the rest of these are okay. And the rest of the order doesn't really matter as much. Now, last but not least, down here it wants to know, and this is that question I keep harping on. It wants to know, is there a recognizable people or property in this photo? And of course there is. You can see her face clearly. She is recognizable. So I'd have to say yes and supply a model release. Here's a question Garrett's asking. No, I'm sorry. Yes, he's asking, is this available on mobile? You can submit now on mobile using Adobe Photoshop Mix. However, you still need to go to the web browser to do this part of it. But yeah, if you have mobile, if you want to submit an iPhone image or an Android image using Adobe Photoshop Mix, which is a free app, you can upload it with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, it does have a recognizable person. And then I have a choice. If I did not have a model release already on file for this person, which I do, then I can say create new release and upload it. If you don't have one yet, you can go ahead here and download one. So you can download a model release or a property release. And yes, property releases are necessary for identifiable property that's the focus of the image. So for example, if I drive by your house and I zoom out and I take a picture of your whole house and that's the only thing in the picture, then I would need a property release from you because it would be your house in the photo that I'm trying to sell as the main subject. Now, if it's cityscape and it's in the background and things like that, then that's when it's not as necessary or you probably won't need one. But if the architecture or the building is the main subject of the photo, then you might need a property release as well. Okay, so let's, I don't need to create one because I have one. So I'm going to search for an existing one. And I think she's all the way at the bottom here, Jennifer T. And now that I've got that model release selected, when I scroll back up to the top, it says it's ready to submit because everything else is green. I've put in a category, or it did. It's got a title. It's got 5 or more keywords. And I've said yes or no to the model release. And if it's yes, I've added one. Now, if it's a group of people, 4 people, then you're going to need 4 model releases. And you would attach all 4 to the same image. All right. So I could submit this for approval. Once I do that, and confirm it, it will then go into my in review area. And in the in review area, it will sit there for anywhere from 24 hours to 7 days, waiting for an Adobe Stock moderator to look at it and approve it, or not approve it if there's something wrong with it, like missing a model release or missing a property release. So everything submitted, even by me, has to be approved before it will show up for stock to be sold. They're pretty good about approvals. They're usually running anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, 72 hours, maybe if you do it over the weekend. But they're pretty good at doing it. And they do approve even on the weekend. A lot of my images, last images got approved last Sunday. All right, so now we've done the photo. Now let's talk about video. There's a video sitting here. It's a 4K video that is waiting for me to finish the process of keywords and all that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how that video got here in the first place. Now, first and foremost, if you want to just upload, you're not using Adobe Premiere and you want to upload a video. So here's what it takes to do videos. So first and foremost, videos can be anywhere from 720p, so 1280 by 720, all the way up to full HD or 4K. So 720p, 1080p, or 4K. The duration is anywhere from 5 seconds, so it could be very short, to 60 seconds. That's up to you. And they prefer the following codecs: H.264, ProRes, or PNG. And there is a maximum file size of 3.9 gigabytes. So if you are not using Adobe Premiere, that means you need to upload your video using FTP. And the way you would upload it via FTP is, all right, Ken, I'll answer that question in a second. You would click the Learn More, and that's where you will get your, I'm not going to click it because it's going to show my username and password. But if you click the Learn More, it will show you your username and password for FTP that the system has assigned to you. So when you create a contributor account, you automatically get an FTP account whether you're going to use it or not. And this is where you would get it, and also even get the link to download a free FTP program if you don't already have one of your own. And for images and vectors, you can drag them right into the browser. For videos, you would need to upload them via FTP. All right, Ken asked the question, would a property release be required for the lobby of a building or just a corner of the structure on the outside? Probably, I'm going to say probably not, unless that lobby is very unique and recognizable, meaning, oh yeah, we know that's the lobby of the John Smith building on 4th Street in Washington. You know, if we know that lobby because it's very distinctive and a classic design, a unique design, you might need a property release. But if it's just a generic lobby or a generic corner of a building, no. Because usually the corner of the building or the lobby may not be the focus. So for example, I have a lifestyle shot taken in the break room, or not break room, but like the cyber cafe of an apartment building. And that cyber cafe is very generic. You would never know where it was. So that would be okay. And yes, you can absolutely submit multiple images at once. I only did one just for the sake of time, but I could have adjusted 50 images and submitted all 50 at the same time. I don't know that there's a maximum limit on the multiple submissions. I've never hit it, and I've submitted 20, 30, 40 at a time easily, but I don't know if there is a maximum. I don't think there is, but there may be. There may be with a web browser. I doubt if there's one with Lightroom. All right, and I doubt if there's one with FTP. Okay, so let's head over to Adobe Premiere. So now we're going to do video. And in Adobe Premiere, I've got some videos from this shoot on the timeline. So here's one where it's just my drone flying over the lake here and the little duck going by. And that video is 6 seconds and 6 frames. Here's another one, a little bit longer one. This one's 9 seconds, where I've got one of the models getting ready to run, and I purposely left the beginning of that on there in case the person wants to edit it to their liking. And I left some room there for copy. So if they want to put their own message after she runs by, I left that part in there as well. And then I've got another scene, another flyover, a little bit longer one. This one's 14 seconds. And we got the swan in the lake as well. And we just fly right over the swan. Nice pretty blue water with my cricket landscape, but there it is. All right, so 3 videos that I can submit. And now how does this process work? Well, you bring your video into Premiere, you edit down to the 5 to 60 seconds part of it that you want. And then at that point, before this last update to the contributor portal, you would export the video out and then FTP the video that you worked on. Now, you don't have to do that last part. Here's what you would do. You would go up to your file menu, and you would choose export media. And when I say export media, it's going to bring up a dialog box, and at that dialog box, I can use whatever preset I want. I'm just going to go ahead and say match source, high bit rate. And now you have the option of publishing to Adobe Stock. So this is brand new, the ability to publish to Adobe Stock right from Premiere Pro's timeline. So I've got my 6 seconds chosen. Publish to Adobe Stock as my output. It's still going to output the video wherever I tell it. So I forgot what folder it's going to put that in, but it's going to actually export the video out. And there's no audio to this because it's just the drone doesn't have a microphone. But if your video, if your camera, of course, shoots audio, which it probably does, then you have to decide if that audio is important. If the audio is not important to the video, buyers would prefer it didn't even have the audio in it. That way they can put it as background video behind anything they want. So it's up to you. What about tourist spots and buildings like the Colosseum in Rome? If it's old enough, meaning there's no copyright left probably on the Colosseum in Rome, you're probably okay with that. So like, for example, I have shots of the Eiffel Tower that are up. I've shot, you can find shots of the Statue of Liberty that are up. There's no property release to get because no one owns that. There's no, it's not personal or private property. But I am probably not the person to ask when it comes to property releases because of all the things I know about Adobe Stock, that's probably this much for property releases because it just really depends on what the property is. Worst case scenario, I wouldn't say go to the Coliseum just to shoot it, but if you already got pictures of the Coliseum, then submit them. Like I said, those will be okay anyway, but whenever in doubt, the worst that'll happen is it'll just get declined. And they'll tell you that, you need a property release for it. For example, the only one that I ever shot that needed a property release, and I didn't think about it at the time, was I did a night shoot of the Seattle, oh, you know what? Let me talk while this is doing its thing. So let's go ahead and export this out. All right, now while that's doing its thing, I can talk. All right, I did a night shot of the Seattle skyline. And the Seattle skyline, of course, right in the middle of my shot, and there's nothing else, just buildings and lights, and it's all great. The Space Needle, right dead center in the middle. Like, in other words, it could be argued that that is the subject of the photo. Eiffel Tower is protected. The light show is protected, but not the actual structure. So during the day, you're good. At night, the light show is what's copyrighted. So that's what will get declined. If you tried to shoot the light show or a video of the light show, or even a still of the lights would probably get declined. But anyway, my Space Needle shot got declined, even though I wasn't thinking of at the time that I'm shooting the Space Needle. I'm shooting the skyline. The Space Needle's dead center. But that Space Needle is intellectual property. So it got declined by the Adobe Stock people because they just said, you need a property release for it. Now, if I were to ask them to sign a property release and they did it, then I'd be able to use that shot. Okay, so this one has been uploaded. And again, I can go right back to that same uploads area that I was in. I think this is the video I've already done. Oh, and by the way, video takes a few seconds to render a preview. So if you don't see it right away, just give it a minute and refresh the page because it takes a minute for the system to render out a video. So this one was already here. I think the one I just submitted is going to be a duplicate of it. But we'll go ahead and talk while we'll do another one while that one is doing its thing. So let me go back, click OK, go back to another timeline. And I really want to upload this one now. So this one will take a few more seconds than the last one. So let's go ahead and do this one. Export media. And same thing for Adobe Stock. Yes. And this one is actually going to be a 1080p instead of 4K because I cropped it down on purpose. And let's go ahead and export this one out. All right, so while that's cooking, we'll talk. You're welcome, Kyle. I'm glad this is helping you. And no problem, Johanna. I'm glad I could help you guys along. And hello, this is Jovica, if I'm saying that correctly, Jovica. Hello as well. So again, I knew this was a longer video. Obviously, it's going to take longer to export and probably a little bit longer to upload as well, which is doing that all in the same process. So that progress bar is not just for the export, it's also including the upload. So if you have a slow internet connection, that's going to take longer because it has to upload that video via the internet as well. It has to be done one at a time. Well, no, if I use the queue, then I can do them all together. I can just pound them out, and then they will upload via the Adobe Media Encoder, which they can be piled up. So you don't have to wait for each one like I'm doing now. There's the upload. So yes, you can batch do your videos by sending them to the queue instead of clicking export, and you can batch do your images as well. All right, so now that one's done as well. Let's go back to the website and see if anything's there yet. The other one we submitted should be there. This one, yep, and there it is. And the last one we did, we'll have to wait a few seconds for it. Okay, so both of these are the exact same thing. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the first one. Or is this the first one? Let's see. They're the same. Okay, so I can get rid of either one. I'm going to go ahead and delete this file. Yep, confirm and delete, because we only need one of these. They're the exact same one. Here comes the other one, by the way. Just hasn't rendered yet. So we'll go ahead and do this video now. So it did automatically detect, again, a category. I don't necessarily agree with this category. I guess it could be travel. This could be travel to Orlando. I was thinking landscapes, but again, that would be up to you. It's your call to decide which one you think it best served. I'm going to put it in, I'll leave it in travel. I'll let the computer decide. All right, so next, you need a title. So I'm just going to do fly over the Swan. All right, you can fly over Lake Eola or whatever you want. And then it gave me, in this case, 17 more keywords. So 22 keywords altogether. So now, again, this is where I'm quickly going through and taking out the ones that don't apply. So yeah, there's skyscrapers, urban, sea, buildings. It's not Asia. It's not Melbourne. Panorama, sky. It's not Japan. It's not really a bay. It's not a beach. Take those out. Day, tower, I don't really need tower. Okay, so now there are a couple that it didn't put in. So I'm going to put in lake. I'm going to do flyover. I'm going to do Lake Eola. I think that's the name of it, if I remember correctly. I'm going to do Orlando, because that's where it is. All right, so let's move some of these up to the top. Let's put lake up there. I just want river to come down, because river, it's not really a river. I do flyover. So let's put those up there, and then move them around manually after that. So I'm going to do flyover, water, actually lake, flyover, water, city, skyline. We'll probably do skyline like that. And again, the first 5 are the most critical ones that help put your images in the right places and or right results when people search. The rest of this is okay. Now I start thinking in my marketing, I turn my marketing hat on and start thinking, okay, what would marketers be looking for if they saw this video? Calm, wildlife, swan. I forgot swan, I forgot there's a swan in there. I should probably put that up at the top. Let's move that down. It's probably more important than, yeah, there we go. All right, so what else? Ripples. We got water, we got lake. You want to put things in that are relevant, and you also don't want to put in things that don't have anything to do with the image you're looking at. So for example, I would probably take out buildings. It has really nothing to do with this image. Same thing for building. I don't know, was there, yeah, there is a skyscraper back there in the background, so I'll probably leave that one. Sea, day, summer. All right, I could go on and on, but I think you get the idea. And no, there is no recognizable people or property in here that is the main focus of the image. Now, it still may get kicked back to me. This fountain, which is in the background, is that's probably intellectual property. I don't know if it's prominent enough to get flagged. I don't think it is, so I'm going to go ahead and submit this one. I would submit it anyway, because I'll leave it to them to tell me whether it is or isn't. All right, so we'll go ahead and submit that video, and that video is now going into the queue to be approved. And here comes, actually that's in review. Let's go back to new. I was going to say, here comes my other video. Here it is. And now we can go ahead and do this next one. African American woman jogging. All right. So let's see what it gave me. Oh, see, it didn't give me hardly any. So we can say young, it's not a hitchhiker, we can get rid of that one. Summer, yep, the rest of this, and it's not really fashion, we get rid of that keyword. So now we'll go ahead and put in some good ones. So let's see, we got jogging, sport, running, African American, black, we already have woman, lady, girl. And again, I'm thinking of things that would be search for. Purple, she is wearing purple. Park, flyover. Strong, athletic. Long hair, alone, she is alone. All right, so now let's get our top 5 together. So we definitely want to get jogging up to the top. We definitely want to get running up to the top. We definitely want to get African American up to the top. All right, so our main 5, we probably want something besides beauty. How about young? So African American, woman, jogging, and I may, you know what? I may stick park up there instead. Let's go jogging and young. All right, so those would be what I would consider my top 5 keywords in that video. Okay, so now that we've got that, this one does have a recognizable person in it, so we're going to say yes. If we didn't have a model release for her already, we'd go ahead and submit one, but we do, and this is Tanisha. All right, so we'll go ahead and put that one in, and we are ready to submit. So I've got 2 videos and 1 image submitted for sale on Adobe Stock. As of now, there we go. And so those 3 are in the queue waiting to be approved. Are these of people you know and you get a model release, or are you doing street photography? These are people that were hired, and yes, they signed a model release as part of their being hired. If street photography, can you use your pitch to get someone to sign a model release? I don't have a pitch for street photography because I don't do street photography. So I don't have a pitch for strangers to sign a model release because I would be very personally weirded by that. If someone walked up to me, can I take your picture, and hey, would you sign a model release for me? Because all kinds of questions would come in my mind of what are you going to do with this? Why am I signing a model release? So in other words, I don't have a pitch to give you because I don't do it. I don't have one. So anyone that I have a model release from, it's because I knew them and got a model release from them for that shoot. But if it is street photography, let's say it's not a person. Let's say you're shooting graffiti on the street. You would need a release for that because that's someone's art. Even if it's on an abandoned building, And even if it's by someone who, of course, is trying to remain anonymous, it is their art, and unfortunately for you, they are protected by that. So yeah, I don't have a pitch, sorry, for the walking up to a stranger and saying, let me take your picture and let me go ahead and have you sign a model release so I can make money off of it. So what is the minimum video quality? 720p. All right, let's go back here real quick. I can run through a couple things for you that I normally do up front. So the contributor program, that's what we're doing. So here's just a recap of some of the things that we've done, so you can go ahead and ask questions at this point. You're welcome. I see some comments saying thank you. Yep, 720p. All right, so anyway, photos, illustrations, vectors, or videos at this point. 33% on everything except videos. Videos get a 35% royalty. You can contribute effortlessly, which we just saw, by submitting your work through Adobe Tools. This is just examples of my own work. So one of the things I love waking up to are emails like this that say, you just made money while you were sleeping. So first thing I do when I wake up is look at my phone and just see what's going on. And so these are all real emails that happened in the course of a morning or a day. All right, so some of your commissions will be decent. They'll be okay. For a $10 sale, you're going to get 33% of that. So that's about $9.30 sale for an image. Sometimes you'll do better than that, because images can also be sold for extended license, which are $79. So 33% of that gave me $24.80 on this image. Sometimes it'll be just pennies. It could be 27 cents, 33 cents, 35 cents, 53 cents, depending on how much that image sold for, based on the person who is buying the image, how much of a license they have. So question is, can I take shots taken with the iPhone 7? That's exactly what these water drops are taken from. True story. Sitting in my car in the drive-thru one afternoon, looking up at the rain, I said, click, iPhone 7. I'm submitting that to stock, and it's already sold 3 times. So it paid for the fast food that day in the drive-thru. If you're lacking models, some of the photographers, most of the photographers I know, at some point become their own models in their stock shoots, because they can sign their own model releases. And of course, videos have the biggest potential, because videos not only give you 35%, but they sell for more. So this was a video from a photo shoot I was already doing. And I just said, hey, you know what? We're already set up. You're already in this environment. You're already pretending to be in an office environment, working together. Why not just interact with each other? You don't have to talk. You can even just look like you're nodding and pointing and doing things like that. And I ran the camera for 20 or 30 seconds. And that video is sold a couple times. I've got other videos that are similar to it. They're sold 3 or 4 times. So that's not a bad commission off just a few more seconds of work. The kinds of things we're looking for are the categories you see on the right-hand side. And people, honestly, will always do better than everything else, in my opinion, because everything else is easier to shoot. In other words, if you go to a place where there's a beautiful landscape in front of you, and you're not the first one to get there, chances are we already have a few thousand or even a couple 100,000 of that same place on stock already. We have, I believe, over 60 million pieces of content. So if you go to the Grand Canyon, yeah, you can shoot a great picture of the Grand Canyon, but is your picture of the Grand Canyon better than the pictures of the Grand Canyon that are already there? Or is it different in some way, or unique in some way? So it's okay to shoot the same thing everyone else has shot, as long as you can put your spin on it to make it look different. And I don't mean post-processing different, although that could work, but I mean just in case. What if your model is an animal? You don't need a model release usually for an animal, unless the animal was shot on someone's private property. So a stray dog, it should be okay. It could be a property release issue, but shouldn't be, it definitely won't be a model release, because the puppy can't sign. But the owners would sign for it being their property. All right, so I've tweeted this example before of you never know where stock's going to be used, and sometimes it's used incorrectly. So here's a famous chocolate company, and they forgot to license the image. So that became a payday not only for the photographer but everyone else involved, because that became now an intellectual property right violation on the company that used the image for literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of candy bars that went out on the market. All right, we kind of did this already. We did this already. We did this already. We talked about that already. Just a couple quick tips. Understand the market. So leave space wherever possible, because an image like this is going to be selling better because there's room for copy. Someone can just use this as the background and put their copy right in the upper right corner or right across the top, as opposed to where I like to shoot was tightly cropped, not as usable on stock. It'll get approved, but it may not get used. Same thing here where she's running up the steps. They left plenty of room on the left side for someone to put a message in there. So don't just, if you like to shoot tight, that's okay, but also shoot wide or out, or step back or zoom out, I should say, and get a couple shots where it's not so tight. All right, so for model releases, I use an app called Easy Release. I don't get any kickback or anything for this. I'm just telling you what I use. They don't know that I'm even doing this, but I use an app called Easy Release. That way they can sign right there on the spot on my iPhone or iPad. And of course, they make this for iOS and Android. And this is what the release looks like that I have them sign. And this release, I just email myself a copy of it from the app and then submit it to Adobe Stock with the images. And unless you, of course, take a picture of the subject right there on the spot for either the property or the model release that's being signed. All right. I see something in it I need to update. The last thing here, I just want to remind you that if you are going to get a model release signed by you, you're going to sign it obviously as a photographer. The model's going to sign it obviously. The other requirement for Adobe Stock is that it be witnessed. So you need a third signature, some person standing by. Usually it's maybe your assistant that could witness it as well. Keywording, we kind of already talked about. Sometimes keywords can hurt you. We didn't talk about this. So I looked at a couple of my images that were getting lots of views, but not very many sales. And these were like my top 2 or top 3 or 4 viewed images. I'm like, why aren't they selling if they're getting all those views? It was because I had done some bad things with keywords early on for these images. So here are the keywords that are in here, and there's some that definitely I took out and needed to be changed, but there were 2 that were just dead wrong. And they were Albania, because she's Albanian, so I put Albanian and Albania, but if you think about it, people are looking for, if they type in Albania, they're looking for pictures of the country, they're looking for pictures of a place, not a person, not a teenager. And the other one, I don't even know how it got in there, and that is freedom. I don't know how that keyword got in there, but if you were searching for freedom, chances are you're not going to buy this image. And I would probably say that's what they were searching for the most. And she kept coming up and they were like, what's this? And when they don't buy your image gets pushed down in the search ranking because everyone's looking at it and no one's buying it. So the Adobe Stock algorithm thinks something's wrong with this image because no one ever buys it. So it pushes it down in the search results. So luckily you can now edit your images. I'm sorry, you can edit your keywords after the fact. So some of my top selling images are images that I never intended to work with stock before. These were portraits I did for friends, but they have sold quite a bit. So I'm very happy with my top 3 selling images. All right, so with that said, let's get out of this. We're at the end of our hour, and hopefully you found this of interest and you will think about making some passive or secondary or even primary income. Some of the people that are top contributors are making 6-figure incomes because they treat it like a full-time job. They're out every day, all day, well, not all day, but they're out every day shooting for stock. They wake up every day saying, what's my assignment today? What kind of content am I going to go create today for Adobe Stock? And they're submitting. So If you want to make real money, it's going to have to be based on the effort you put into it. So you put little effort into it, you're going to get little return in return. You put a lot of effort into it with good quality content, chances are you're going to do well. It is literally up to you. It is a volume business. People that fail are usually the ones that say, I'll upload 10 and see how it goes. And they never really get anything from 10 images out of 65 million. So it's something you should keep doing if you're going to do it at all. How much do I earn from Adobe Stock? You're right, I'm not going to answer that. So I do okay. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to complain, and I'm always submitting more to do even better. All right, guys. Cheers. Take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.